Dare.
Is that one good?
Yeah, good. We are, can everybody hear us?
Who's that hairy person in the back?
Ignore.
Okay.
Did I just hear that?
We heard that, Carol.
I love it. The mysterious hairy person in the back.
Okay,
Okay, you ready? Were you recording?
we are, yep.
Linda's ready?
Linda's ready? Yep.
So we're going
Yes.
to order this Public Works Board meeting for December 19, 2024 for the city of Hudson. Let's go around the room and introduce ourselves as a roll call. Gary Bernhagen.
Justin Weaver.
David Marston.
Tyler Kurtzman.
And also with us, not on the board, but as a partner is.
Ryan Lobster, Crawford and Associates Engineer.
Great, thank you. Is there any past business that we need to address? I can't think of anything. Justin?
The only thing I have is, the update, as to where we're at with the ADA portion.
New business. And first point of order is a report from Justin Weaver, ADA Coordinator. So
Yeah.
please give us an update on that aspect.
Okay, so we met, with, Craig Manning and Louise on Wednesday, December 11th. We, did a walkthrough, on Front Street. And these are the notes that, were produced as a result. We have 3 remaining concrete pours needed on the west side to complete the new sidewalk to the new crosswalk just north of Ferry Street. The asphalt plants were to shut down, so they are shut down now as of Friday the 13th. So that is done for this year. All granite curbs on the west side from State to Ferry are complete. Ferry Street and Front Street drainage curb and sidewalk to be completed by Colarusso in the spring of 25 under the Ferry Street Bridge contract. Structures and radius curb purchased by Louise for the Ferry Street intersection will be given to Colarusso, and Louise will be compensated via field charge payments. Street light foundations with conduit complete on the west side of Front Street. 1 existing light pole base still energized in conflict. There's been a work order submitted to National Grid. Existing National Grid pole box to be de-energized and removed. Rob Perry was to contact National Grid to facilitate on-site meetings to de-energize both the old light pole base and pole box ASAP to allow west sidewalk completion. Driveway, asphalt, concrete, curb tie-ins to be completed. Louise to remove existing concrete curbs to Common Sense Terminus and form, I don't know if everybody understands this, I know you do, but I just want to give the actual notes in case anybody out there knows. Prior to asphalt pavement transition completion, drop off at incomplete maintenance strip landscape locations, all of West Front Street, Louise to place and compact temporary backfill in all locations. So that's one thing that we did through the walkthrough. There's a lot of places where cement should be. And because the asphalt companies have shut down, what they decided to do is to fill it with sand, which will get it through the winter. It's a special type of sand. So there's not all these gaps where somebody could fall in, because there's missing concrete. So that is, and has been addressed. It'll continue to be addressed until all those, places that have been identified through that walkthrough are going to be filled with something till spring when the concrete, companies reopen. Asphalt, yes, thank you. There was runoff observed from the residential parking lot, one of them at the Hudson Terrace Apartments. And it was running across new sidewalks at driveway 1 and 2, posing potential maintenance erosion issue. Louise was to install erosion control stabilization in those areas. Proposed State Street and Front Street mill and fill, that's what they're referring to that I just described, was discussed to tie in new completed work. There was a notation of a damaged curb and sidewalk at the northeast corner of State and Front to be repaired by Louise. Warren Street bump outs / drainage and raised Front Street intersection to be completed in the spring. Warren and Second Street intersection to be completed in the spring. Sidewalk at Promenade Park was discussed. Let's see, Warren and First Street improvements were reviewed. Bilko door at northeast corner to be completed in the fall of 2025. And completion of the Allen Street stairs, AKA Cross Street stairs, I'm assuming that's what they're calling Allen Street stairs. Temporary handrails were noted as part of the discussion. I have since contacted Creighton Manning. At the time of the walkthrough, there were no temporary handrails yet. I've been on them. I have not gone to see with my own eyes. They are there. Okay. I was assured that they were put in. It was pouring rain the day that we were out there, so we got out of the cold and out of the rain. But I did call and I was assured that they were put there. So I'm happy to know that. Thank you, George.
Great.
And
What's the table for the permanent, handrails?
they're saying the spring, but the time frame is always a little bit wonky. There's a lot of this work that each time I really wanted to hammer down a time frame, I would get 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
And while I'm interrupting, one other thing, you said the sidewalk at Promenade Hill was discussed.
Well, discussed because there's some damage there, right by the chamber, actually. There's some pavers that look cracked and they're kind of coming out of place. So the discussion was a remedy, which I don't know what that is, but they are aware of it. It was noted during our walkthrough. And I believe they wanted to get that done before the end of this year. I can follow up and find that out for sure. But that it was noted, and obvious, breaking apart.
That's a high traffic area.
Yeah, so I would imagine that that's gonna happen this year, to avoid any falls,
Okay.
trips or falls, so.
Thank you.
Yep.
Did they, are the stop signs installed at Warren and First?
The stop signs
Yeah.
at Warren and First.
Yeah, you know how we had the temporary ones on the tripods because they had pulled them out of the sidewalk, redone the sidewalk, and then never reinstalled them?
I'm not sure.
Pretty sure they're not.
I can find out about that. That wasn't discussed. I know you're talking about, no, that they're not yet. No, they're not. And
Why is that?
I'm not sure.
Is that Louise that struggles with deadlines?
Yes.
We struggled with that intersection for 4 months to get it done. And then they gave us that insane bid on the last round.
Louise has been an issue all along with their timetables. So, yeah. I can speak with Rob to see if he has a clear time frame on stop sign installations.
Yeah, cause I would think that'd be the finishing of the job. Just looks ridiculous
Yeah.
that we've got temporary stop signs up there.
Yep.
Plus with snow removal, right? It's gonna be coming.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
It's a great point, Tom.
Let it be known that George has joined us. Thank you. Good to see you. Oh, and just for the record. Sure. Hey, Tyler, you want to take a few minutes and introduce yourself to the team?
Yeah, sure, no problem. So Tyler Kreitzman, born and raised in the city of Hudson. Went to school obviously in Hudson. I currently work at Hudson. Worked 20 years in facilities. 2 daughters, one's in college, one's in elementary school now. I've had family members that have actually been aldermen in the city. Grandfather was an assessor for the city.
Nice.
So I guess it's just my time to give back now, right?
Great,
Yep.
thank you, welcome aboard, I appreciate it. We being, Justin and I and Ryan met with a bunch of county and city officials earlier today. You guys weren't invited because we had to worry about the quorum. Those who joined us was the city attorney, Crystal Peck, the treasurer, Heather Campbell, the county assessor's office, as well as the city assessor. And so we needed to get a handle on what's the current process right now, and, you know, who has ownership of this, and where do we, where can we inject the data? And we really haven't had a moment to assess that. A lot of information came up. So let's just sort of fumble our way through, not spending a whole lot of time on it. But I think the gist of it is, first off, I feel like the timetable, and Ryan, I'm looking at you, is not an issue for us. Tell me that's correct, Gary.
That's correct, Gary.
Well, now, is it?
Badgering the witness.
The only thing I would say to the time frame is there were a couple of dates that were thrown out.
Yes.
And so some people on the floor have seen the test file we started with. So I think a part of that is making sure that that's gonna work for the county, however that's set up. If not, we have to start making some changes, but, the first date they threw out for, the file tax rolls, and, there's a date in May, if this is gonna follow like grievance period or not. So the city attorney has to give some answers to that. But you're correct, I don't think there's a deadline of the next 2 months or anything like that. But there are a couple of pieces, after that meeting, I did go back and look at a couple of things that I think the board is gonna have to, or the board and the city are gonna have to come with some decisions on a couple of parcels. And the city boundary is the biggest piece that we were looking at in our office recently to understand exactly how that's defined. So the example is Fairview. There's a number of properties along Fairview Avenue that, there aren't sidewalks in front of some now, some have some, so those properties, where's the frontage being measured along and things like that, so,
Great, start identifying those so that we can start looking at those.
Yep.
That's where we're going to spend 80% of our time, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so, okay. So with that said, there was some timeframes, and it seemed like to me, that, July was a time where we needed to provide clean data. And it seemed like consensus of everyone was that, thank you, Public Works Board, please provide us a final, version of data and the amounts, and you take care of the exemptions as well as the credits. Was that your sense, guys? Justin?
Yes, we will be doing the calculations. We will be responsible for plugging in the information via Crawford. But it was also suggested that we figure out perhaps a way for people to maybe go on the city website and have like a calculator on there so they can play with the numbers as well. But the information is basically coming from the GIS data that's already with real property. We'll be going with that to determine frontage fees, but our calculation is going to be based on the formula that has already been put out. And the one thing that's left up in the air is the process by which people who have already done work on their own sidewalks within the last 10 years, what's the process by which they submit their receipts for the work so they get a credit and won't be charged the full amount, whether it's the $100 flat fee or the $200 flat fee, don't get some sort of discount. we also did talk about exemptions and what we were going to deem as a property that's exempt. And I think the general consensus was, if a property is already exempt with real property in the county, it's a pretty good idea to assume that the sidewalks will use that data. They're exempt with real property. We'll use that to make them exempt for sidewalks.
So specifically, both the categories of veterans and firefighters. And we want to make a change in the law. And we have that ability to do that. We'll work with Crystal, and the council is open to that, particularly if it expedites or facilitates, I should say, facilitates the operational aspect of this. As an example, the law uses the word waiver, whereas the county uses the word exemption. And they have a category of both veterans and firefighters. Although I looked at the veteran list, and it might be a factor of a veteran not registered with them, which they should be. But we'll certainly know that there's an exemption with the sidewalk. So while we can use their exemption list, I think we're also gonna have to go through that process of announcement. And maybe the way to do it is to go through the county and get the exemption there, as opposed to us having to deal with it. But otherwise, it sounds like we're the ones who are going to.
Right, and we did have Crystal Peck in on our meeting as well, who wrote the sidewalk law, that we're following. And she said that really, we're all figuring this out together, so
Yeah.
there can be things that we change, nothing is set in stone, and we're gonna figure it out all together. We had everybody that should be in the meeting was a part of the meeting. I think the number they quoted were 77 exemptions that they have, total, 33 wartime vets, 40 additional, then the number 4, was that fire? Was that,
No,
what was it? Cold War veterans?
yeah,
There's 33, 40, and 4 to total 77. I don't have what those numbers were, but a total of 77
on their register.
on their register.
Okay, good. So just, keep everyone, we'll put together minutes, and pass it around so we can get feedback from everyone involved and make sure that everyone gets a copy of that as well, right? We don't have to worry about the, form. Next, we have, last time we met, we approved
Can I-
3.
Can I hit pause on it one
Sure.
time, Gary? So, Ryan, you said something about May. Is that when the mailers go out? Is that when we're thinking we want to communicate not only the specificity of our calculation, but how people can find out more information?
Well, I'm not sure if we're gonna be able to give the details for each,
Not their parcels,
but
but
yes.
how we calculate it,
Yeah.
right? How you built the,
So Rob Perry gave a good idea to set that with something like the water and sewer bills, just as an insert. Hey, public, this new thing is coming into action. And that's your quick guide or
Yeah.
something like that to all the properties. I mean, pretty much what was given in this could be given to the property owners.
And I can certainly share that on the city website.
and that's quarterly, so that could go out. I guess that would be the first.
Yeah, they said May 1st is their tentative tax roll.
Okay.
That makes sense to you. This was all lingo that I'm not part of the tax world, but May 1st was the tentative, July 1st is their final tax roll.
So that's, when you say July, that data needs to be completely solid. That is going on the books. They go out.
Yeah, that's,
Well, is that true? Because,
So from what the discussion of the meeting was, nothing is gonna happen until 2026.
right.
So July, yes, that's kind of when everything is finalized for the real properties. But there were some discussions, I think the city attorney is still looking into exactly those deadlines. There was another deadline of like September.
Yeah, August,
Yeah,
August was a question mark, so
Yeah.
there could be wiggle room, but they'd really like it all done by their final,
That's
which is
fair.
July, yeah.
Yeah,
So now we
But
start to get
they're
down
willing
to
to.
nitty gritty.
With us,
Right.
yeah.
okay. And in our approach, sort of past muster with the way the assessor was thinking about how we might try and tackle this. There was agreement that the approach that we've been taking is in alignment with how an assessor might proceed. Like this would pass legal muster with the state,
Yeah,
right? Yes,
yeah, we're providing a number is essentially it, you know, and they're looking for, you know, that to be after the appeals process and, you know, that it be reliable. So, yeah.
so after the appeals process, so if the data is due July, are we saying the appeals process would take place before the July deadline?
Yeah,
Not only take place, but we need time to be able to, I mean, are we gonna ever have to go back out and do measurements?
I think that's where the wiggle room came in, because I believe their grievance day, she quoted was between May and July. So we can get that specific day, but from May first, where the temporary tax roll, it starts from May first.
Yeah.
That's when the grievance time, because since it's a tentative tax roll, not temporary, but same thing.
Yeah,
From May first on, I took it to mean that that was the beginning period of when people could file a grievance. And they would have that time period up until July first, which is the final tax roll. However, that's where some wiggle room started to happen, because we're not sure what is gonna be asked of us to figure out those grievances. So that's where they were figuring, even though it's July with us, it could possibly be August with us,
yeah,
based on the work that we need to do to honor those grievances and really figure it out.
and we define grievance, one, the property owner disputes the real property linear feet that we're using. Two, they've done something in 10 years that supersedes all of this, or three, they qualify as a firefighter or veteran,
Some sort of
and that's
exemption.
it. Those
Yeah.
are the
Those are the
three
three that I have,
pathways for getting yourself out of the feet,
not
Or having
completely,
it
or
reduced.
lowered, yeah.
or reduced.
Yeah.
Good correction,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, and having it reduced, I mean, do they need to appear in, you know, an appeals process to make copies and send it in?
Well, and that's what Rob said too, like, are we gonna have a whole grievance process because somebody wants to save $50? Right? Administrative costs a week. So I guess we're gonna have to determine what is just grounds to file a grievance. I
Is there a
mean,
cost for them to submit agreements?
well,
Anybody can just.
we've determined that, I mean, we're figuring this all out.
No, I don't think there should be.
I don't think there should be
Well, I have to go back and stuff. I never really focused on these issues, to be honest, on the law, because I was worried about everything else.
Right.
Now we need to really start focusing in on, and looking for adjustments in it as well. But no, I don't think there'll be any fees associated with it. And I don't think there should be, you know, and grievances it's, I don't agree, you know, it can be a dispute
Right.
in terms of whether it's, you know, the frontage or even for a commercial building, the square footage, right? As for a firefighter or a veteran, I think they're just coming in and saying, hey, I'm claiming. this
Right, that's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah,
Right.
Well,
here it is. and-
oh, good.
I would say for the first year, you probably would have the most number of people questioning or trying to understand the formula. But once you have the first year under your belt, you're more than likely you aren't gonna have people grieving much beyond the first year.
Right.
That, especially that relate to the frontage or square footage. You know, the square footage is getting pulled straight off of the tax cards for every property. So if you go on Columbia County Parcel Viewer, you can select your property and it'll tell you the square footage of your building. So if that's wrong, then the county has, somehow the county already has that wrong. So, there's a process you go through for that. That comes down to, the city had to give you a CO for that building, likely gave the CO. What does that say? The frontage one is the only one that we're using, we're using, again, the county GIS systems, and, that's just taking a measurement. So if someone had a survey showing their exact frontage being different, that could be used, but other than that, there isn't a, without surveying every property, the exact, number wouldn't be exact.
I think that's a good point to bring up, Ryan. So say someone does say, the county's always had it wrong, this is 30 feet. They say 60 feet, whatever it is. Do we own that data in the sense that then we're asking them to go to the county, correct that? Or do we say, oh, yeah, you're actually right, we're pulling from the county, we're gonna honor that, even though it's not right at the county level? You know what I mean?
It was, to that point, I did talk with Rob about that towards the end of the meeting, and he suggested that, if somebody is claiming that they hire a surveyor
Yeah,
to produce that legitimate documentation,
right.
that what is filed with the county real property is incorrect, and then we'll go by the surveyors if it is different.
Okay.
That's how we would do that.
So you need a certified data that's
Correct, because anybody could just say, I'm filing a grievance, I don't agree with that to save money, and then we just gonna go with their word, or we're gonna need to see some sort of.
So, following up on that, we're not in a position for grievances. We're just taking accurate data off of the systems. If you have a problem with.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Then you go to the county and take care of it.
I think we need to definitely get the county's buy-in that that's our policy. That we're leveraging county data. That's none of our business. We're just merely using that in our calculation to find the number. It is what it is.
That was pretty clear in our meeting this morning.
Was it?
Yeah,
I did not,
I found it very clear that they're not expecting us to do anything other than the calculation based on the information that they have, and we plug it in and send it to them.
well, yes, but they also are looking for a final number in terms of exemptions, zero. And even the 10-year from date of work, credits.
Question, off topic a little bit, can we require any future concrete sidewalk work or ask Rob or Craig, I'm not sure who handles the permit, to somehow quantify the cost, like require the contractor when he gets the permit to submit a billing statement so that in the future, there's a piece of paper that shows like, oh yeah, Joe Smith spent X amount of dollars on.
So you're saying the contractor that would do the sidewalk work, if somebody were to do their own sidewalk work with their own contractor,
Yes.
that contractor would be responsible for listing the frontage?
Yeah, I mean, if they're gonna file for a permit, let's just ask them for like, submit your, statement to the city. I mean, we're not gonna pick up all the past people, but at least in a going forward,
I can
we
find out.
can grab that.
Just as another piece, there's a line in the past work that has a maximum dollar amount of $15 per square foot.
So that's the maximum we're,
There is a number, there is a cap to it, so yeah, for some reason someone did, work and the number broke out to, let's use $18 a square foot. The max they'd be able to apply, or at least how I read this, says $15 per
it's
square foot.
15 per foot.
This is, it's not gonna amount to a whole lot, and I don't think we're gonna see a whole lot of sidewalk work done.
There's not gonna be
in the home
a lot of people
after this point.
here, right? That's why we're in the position we're in. I mean, so.
Okay, moving on,
Can I ask one more question, Gary?
go.
Sorry. Do we land on what qualifies as substantiation of work done in the past 10 years? Were you gonna require people to submit
Invoice or something.
a invoice or?
This meeting this morning was the very first. There was
Yeah, no,
no-
I know. It's only coming up because we're talking.
I don't know if there's any, I don't remember any language in the law. That doesn't mean we, it's a good point. I would expect a receipt
Yeah,
is what we want.
yeah,
And maybe it should, and ideally moving forward, a standardized sort of receipt, so it's substantiated.
yeah.
I can see people coming to us and say, hey, you know what, I did work and,
Right.
and
And I don't have that.
I don't
That was
have
8
the
years
sheet.
ago.
Yeah.
9 years ago.
Yeah, and are we to go out there and look and say,
Right.
yeah, that looks like it was 10 years ago?
Right.
I noticed up in Toronto over Thanksgiving that the contractors stamp all their sidewalks with their name and a date. Which I was kind of like, oh.
We just have the kids take sticks and write in the fresh cement. That's our version of that.
So what do we do with that, or do we?
That's a good question, because that probably will come up, somebody's gonna say that they did work on their sidewalk, 9 years ago, and they didn't think to save anything. So as a board, we would have to figure.
Okay, so we're not gonna solve it.
We're not
Yeah.
gonna
It's-
Not
But it's a point that we need to start identifying these and knocking them over too.
No, I think, I appreciate that you guys, you move the ball down the court a lot, and we do have a little more wiggle room on the data piece, thank you, Ryan, with these other administrative
Yeah.
mechanisms.
This is what we're here for.
Notification.
Right, if you could jump ahead of it now, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
man, right?
Because people are gonna respond.
100%.
Bad boy.
Yeah.
So, any other questions? Dave?
No, thank you.
Moving forward. Okay, so last time, we approved, 3 resolutions, for the council to approve, 3 initiatives. One was the work done up on Union Street and 7th. And the other 2 are invoices, actually addendums to our existing contract. One is contract number 1 for $20,000, which is to complete the managing of the 2 projects that have been completed, both the Cherry Alley and 3rd Street and 7th and Union. And they're working on the database preparation. And then the second, a contract amendment is managing the project slated for the 5th, 6th, and 7th Street. And that is $40,000, not $500,000.
It'd be it was 5.
I got nervous.
We'd be out of business.
And the,
We blew the lottery here.
Like to be up and everything.
So I need to, now put yet another resolution together, telling the council that, this board has approved the work, and that, we can pay them. So can I have, a show of hands as to all who, agree with this, to approve it? Thank you, okay. So let it be known, all 5 of us, approved it. Terrific. Ryan, why don't you give us a sense of where you're at? What's your sense of today's meeting? And, I'm gonna be looking for, we'll be looking for a report from you in terms of, okay, here's the milestones, here's how we plan on tackling it.
Certainly, I can say the both of these, but I'll start with, the tax, formula or fee formula first. So with that, we have a pretty good system in place now, and we sent around the Excel file to everybody. And I have an email, we can get that to you as well. And we kind of set this up with a lot of different categories and systems that I think in the end, the Public Works Board is gonna need for the long term. If someone was to come in and have an exemption, you can check the box and the formulas populate themselves. So we're in a position now where we can finish this. The thought was after today's meeting would be, it might be a good idea to submit, a section of these that, we feel confident with to the county, make sure it plugs into their formula or their system. and that they all spit out good answers for their, their systems.
The sooner the better.
Yep, and then as soon as we have the green light on, everything is going on that piece, we can continue down the path to do, every parcel in the city, as long as that's the path everybody wants to go with now without, I don't think there's any changes to the formulas or the way they're being calculated. The only thing that came up, again, after looking at a few of these a little closer, is in areas along, so the Empire State Trail came up as a question. So the Fireman's Home as an example. So that's not a sidewalk. It's I think it's like a 14-foot wide shared use path. So, the Fireman's Home is on this, so they're not exempt. So, the value that they're being charged for the linear foot of that trail or path is large. Same thing as the Elks Club has that same path in front of it as well as the school district. So, just there are some properties, and I'm sure that's just one example. I'm sure there's gonna be other examples of other unique situations that, might need to be discussed on the city level as to, how those are managed. But really for now, we will start with, the first step is getting in touch with Real Properties again, giving them a small section as a test. And then hopefully they can tell us in a couple of days or a day or two that that works for their system. We just need to know which of the, criteria pieces they need. I'm assuming it's gonna be like tax ID number and maybe something else, they may need an address or something, I'm not sure.
They said tax ID and the amount, right?
Again, that's fine, as long as those.
But yeah, you're gonna verify that.
We'll give them exactly.
So now, have you taken the law and, what, and taken the formula as to that calculates the assessment and built it into the database already?
Oh, yeah, so, as an example, I can just randomly go across this property would be a $280 fee.
So what do you just enter the actual
So I
frontage?
don't have to interpret the law for you to be able to.
No, if I use a tax ID number of a parcel, you'd be able to, go across this list and
You got it.
$100, $0 because they're exempt, there's, and then we've separated these to have the exemptions as well as if it's a sliver lot, and the only category we've manually been entering and checking is the sidewalk frontage. So that one we've been manually going through and there's a column in there for checking that.
So you enter that number and then the formula is already built in, it spits out what the charge is.
The only piece that we've been working on and confirming again is the square footage, just making sure those line up, but yeah, this system itself should go pretty quickly. And
So you've done this before?
no, not
Mhm.
in this capacity, but in smaller situations, we
Okay,
get similar. So I guess that's kind of the assessment part. The other part was the work for 5th, 6th, and 7th.
Right.
So with that, we've done some of the preliminary, site work to just identify the areas that are on the list to be, worked on. And again, it's going to follow the intersections, along 5th, 6th, and 7th, going to municipal properties, library, DMV, Oakdale, building department, firehouse, things like that. And we have a list of all those intersections. So if it'd be helpful to the board, we could provide, a summary of which intersections on which roads.
Yeah.
And then, and Justin can get his compass out again. I can tell you the north, south, east, and west, which because it's not gonna be, not every intersection has work on all four corners.
Yes.
Some like Union and 7th
Yeah.
was just the east side, north and south. We can get the summary going of which projects are going where. And the goal would be to prepare a bid package for public bidding, in the next month or two. The question that I have for you, Gary, is gonna be generally when you have a public bid perspective, that has to go to the, municipal council for approval to be going out to bid. So I'm assuming there'll be a period of time where, we'll prepare our documentation and then that'll go before then, and maybe just a lead time on that. And then from there, we'd love to bid this project in the winter to get the best pricing so that a contractor can start the spring with a project. And I think we've gone over this a few times, but the way we'll lay it out would be you'll have a base project of a few intersections on, probably all 5th Street. And then we'll give you the alternates to add in for 6th and 7th, building the biggest project that the funds will allow. Hopefully by then, we also have a first round of the tax formula or assessment formula together, and you'll have an idea of how much money, that first round will be bringing in. That's kind of the way that I see this project going in the future is you're gonna have a number at the end of the, this assessment period to know what your yearly income would be from this fund. And that can help gauge how much
work you can take on yearly.
exactly, without dipping into other funds, but that would give you a good balance of how much work you can actually see yourself doing in the next year or coming years, and the public would know that as well.
I'm jumping ahead and I'm just curious, after the 5th, 6th and 7th going to municipals, is Warren Street the next logical artery that we should be focusing on?
I don't know, I guess I'm not sure who that question is directed exactly
It's
to.
open, it's adjusting in yourselves.
I mean, I would say so. I mean, it's the most traveled and, but I think that's something that we would have to decide upon as a board and figure that out. I think we're on the right path here with, what we've already done and going forward with the, intersections leading to the rest of the municipal locations in the city. Then from that point, probably Warren Street.
And continue to follow the Department of Justice's guidance.
Then I guess the next question will be, which end of Warren Street do we start with? I mean, 7th Street Park is up at that end, and then you have Promenade Hill down at that end, and the train station and the boat launch, and so we'll have to figure that out.
Good stuff. Okay, thank you, Ryan. It was noted recently that our meeting, which is on the 3rd Thursday of every month, is after the Common Council's regular meeting. And so we prove payment today. The resolution isn't voted on for another 3 or 4 weeks until the regular meeting, and then we're processing payment. So it was suggested that we move our meeting up before the Common Council's regular meeting, which is the 3rd Tuesday of the month, as I'm looking at it now. It's a pretty tight schedule. The first Thursday of the month is open. Does that work for you guys?
That works for me.
I am out of town.
In general,
Oh, yeah. No,
in general, so looking at, as an example, we're talking about the first Thursday would be January 2nd.
Right.
Yeah, that works for me.
And then, moving forward, February 6th.
Yeah.
That work? Yeah. And Rob Perry could sleep easier tonight.
No, we want to get these guys paid.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Crawford and Associates.
Yeah, it makes, I hadn't thought of it. Okay, that's all I have. Do you guys have anything?
Can I raise a B?
Please.
You know that you love that I do that, Gary, right?
You're not wasting anybody's time.
I really never try to do that. I was curious, about the work at the youth center in Cherry. What do you call them? The braille pads?
Attenuators?
The warning strips, yep.
Yeah, those are, the ones that were done there are plastic.
Yep.
And they were just kind of drilled in, whereas the ones that were done everywhere else are kind of hardened rubber that are set in. And I was wondering if we went with a cheaper option, or if that wasn't a choice, or how we arrived at.
So that came from a conversation, so when the contractor was preparing for the work, they had called me and said that they had a lead time issue with the the other ones that you're referring to. And we had I don't recall if it was a meeting with Rob. How we had the discussion with Rob Perry about that, and he commented that they had some at the town garage that, you know, if they want, when theirs come in, they could just trade them out. So those are the ones that the DPW has at the town garage, or the city garage, excuse me. And so that's what the contractor used or were given to
Just a
you.
one-time thing, sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, the ones that were installed on the Union and Seventh are the ones that you embed into the
Yeah.
concrete. So that's just the timeframes that now, I'm not sure, suppliers and things like that, but that,
Yeah.
I didn't see, or Justin and myself didn't see those until they were installed, so, and those are what the city uses elsewhere as a
I've never
DPW.
seen them anywhere else.
Pretty much all of Warren Street now has those.
Not the plastic ones that are bolted directly with no subsurface set in. Like the ones on the corner here are the rubberized, and any of the plastic ones, they set them in a little bit. Like this has already got shit going under it, and I'm not, it's nothing on you, Ryan, and nothing on, I think, Rob or anyone else. I just wanna make sure that we're using the best materials we can for the costs that we're putting down. And I'm not sure those plastic ones will last, but that's not, I'm not an expert in that stuff, so I'll leave it to Rob and company, but I just wanna raise that,
Certainly.
yeah.
It's, what I'm hearing, it's not what typically being laid down by any contractor.
I guess it's hard to say that exact answer, because, and I'm not gonna speak for every instance in the city, but
Yeah.
I know when Precision came through and did a lot of their cutting work,
Yeah.
the DPW went out and installed those over all the ramps going down Warren Street.
Mhm.
So those are the same, what are most of the ramps on Warren Street are the same that are at Third and Cherry. So that's, unless there's a different box the DPW has, but that's the same material should have been provided to the contractor.
Huh, okay.
I mean, Justin, you can speak up if I'm incorrect on that, but
Yeah, I haven't noticed the difference. I mean, then again, I wasn't paying attention to plastic versus carbon rubber.
Hmm.
I was more focused on getting the curb ramps all done and
Listen, those curbs are good. I looked at a lot of those and, I'm pretty impressed. I mean, those are gonna last a long time.
Have you noticed that on Warren Street, the curbs that Precision worked on? I almost slipped on one. Well, it was raining.
yeah,
I
stuff.
have lousy shoes, I admit that,
Right.
but I just saying.
We did identify a couple of the corners where they're cracking already.
That too, we mentioned.
Ryan and I did a walkthrough to identify areas that actually needed, gravel asphalt around the curbs to balance out the levels, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah. And as we were on that walkthrough, we did realize that some of the work that they did is cracking already. I don't know what to do about that.
Yeah, punch list at the end, right? It's gonna have to come up at some point,
What is it?
a punch list
Yeah.
for anything that's.
their contract's already been concluded.
Yeah,
Well, and they're looking at, so a punch list is needed probably from DPD because we were not involved directly. I don't want to usurp, Rob's, command there. So, but yeah, it should be brought up, to them as a punch list. Exactly.
where did you slip?
It was west of here, so
Was it on one of those perhaps plastic?
Like by Trusco?
no, it was on this side, it was either fourth or fifth or fourth. I think it was fifth. And it was off to the side of the rubberized things. And it's slippery. So yeah, we need to look at that. Is there anything else?
Did we approve these invoices? Was that part of what we approved already?
Yes,
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that was in,
we have 3 invoices. I
Okay.
have to put a resolution together.
okay.
Why don't you give those? to
Yeah.
them? These are the original, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You're looking for the signatures. I'll keep it with the resolution.
Okay, good.
Is there any questions or comments from the public?
Oh, public. Almost forgot, the public is here. Desmond,
Well, look, this is terrific. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Second motion?
Okay, second.
Second.
I wish you all, Merry Christmas holiday season and everyone out there.
Yes, everybody watching, Merry Christmas, Happy
Linda.
Kwanzaa, Happy Holidays, let's cover everything.
Yeah. Thank you for everything.
Sorry, I know.
And, and,
No, I just wanted to see if we were doing that